Welcome everyone to the show. It is another episode of Happy Hour with HatchMan. And today I have a very special guest, Mr. Pete Reese. Super excited to have you on the show, Pete. Thanks for agreeing to do this, buddy.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So I hear you are the president of Reelvest Properties. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, you got it right. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about, your company, how you got started, what it is you guys do, and yeah, let's just get right into it.
Yeah. Well, we do real estate, but we do it in a different way than maybe a lot of other people out there.
Okay.
Our primary business is buying and selling land, and we do it in a way that's primarily short-term flips. Most of our holds are only about 60 days on average.
Okay.
So we actually buy and we close on the properties, and then we resell them right away. Sometimes we'll do some minor development things to the properties, but the goal is to move them as quickly as possible.
Got it. Sounds good. So on average, like, are you buying these things one at a time? Are you buying up massive chunks of land, building up, 10, 20 houses, or what does that look like?
Yeah, so primarily what we're doing is we're buying parcels that are considered rural for the most part, not infill lots in major cities. So we're buying lots at this point, mostly 5 to 10 acres and above.
Okay.
And we'll buy them directly from landowners. We generate our leads by just mostly doing direct mail, and we send out actual offers to these people. They respond, and hopefully we'll work out a deal. So we buy them and we close on them, and then we resell them right away. So.
That's fantastic. Okay. So do you work with like other developers, or is this something that you kind of just, how do you get into something like this?
Yeah, I was just kind of looking, I've been in real estate for a little while. Since 2006, I've had my broker's license here in California.
Okay.
So I used to flip houses before the market crashed back in the, the mid 2000s. So yeah, well, we used to flip houses. So I got into that pretty heavy back then. When the market crashed, we were like, flipping houses is probably not the best area to be right now. So
for sure.
I had gotten my broker's license because I wanted to kind of have the inside track on a lot of deals, for our flip business. And it just kind of was good timing, because then I realized, hey, the flips aren't really going to be a good thing to be in during this crash, but bank-owned properties, they're selling. So I decided to get really heavily involved in that and became focused on just being an REO listing broker, bank-owned properties for a number of years. So that was my major focus. And then got hooked up with a lot of different investors that were obviously buying a lot of my listings at the time. So for a while there, after I was, after a lot of the bank-owned listings dried up, I was just finding them deals because I knew what they were looking for. I knew what numbers made sense for them. Yeah. So I just primarily, had a number of large clients. And I was just finding them as many deals as I could. They would buy everything I'd bring them pretty much that made sense for them. So I did that for a while. Yeah. And then we had another business that I started with my wife, where it was a educational business, blogger training. We did that for a number of years and kind of was all in on that. But I kind of got the itch to get back into real estate and not just representing clients or finding deals for others. I knew I wanted to get back into it for ourselves, and I was just doing some reading online and kind of saw some people talking about doing this land flipping model. Tried to research as much as I could. Like I heard people talking and say, hey, I bought this property for 10,000 and I resold it for 30,000. I was like, well, that sounds pretty cool. I think I could do that. So I just started really researching it as much as I can. I bought a training program from one of the providers out there and learned how to evaluate land. Because it's different than houses, obviously.
It's very different.
Evaluating flips, but it's not, it's real estate. And obviously there's a checklist of things that you kind of go down and you kind of realize what makes a good property and what makes a crappy property.
Yep.
So I learned as much as I could and dove into that and ended up reselling our first property in March of 2021.
Okay.
So not that long ago at this point, a little over a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
In 2021, we did about 1.2 million in revenue and about 50% gross profit. So on average, we're trying to double our investment. So we buy a property for, 20,000. We're trying to resell it for 40. So
gotcha. Okay.
On average, we're able to achieve that. And then 2022, we're going to end up the year probably in the 3.7 million revenue neighborhood and about 50% gross profit as well. So.
That's incredible. Congratulations on a killer year, man. Almost doubled your, revenue just in 1 year. That's
and we're trying to hit 10 million next year. And I think we can make it happen. So at least. So
No, absolutely. I mean, you're doing all the right things. So that's really cool to kind of see that transition of, getting into real estate, knowing you like that. I mean, you've been in it since the crazy time. So
oh, crazy times. Yeah, it was it's
oh
definitely
geez.
crazy
I know
times. The
I got
world like flipped upside down.
right. I know I got a handful of, real estate agents and then even lenders that, were in that space during that time. And they were telling me just how nuts it was. I got into it after all of that.
Oh, yeah.
But I've heard
Yeah, you're
stories,
lucky.
so this is kind of like our little, our tough time right now with, interest rates, almost
Yeah.
tripling in less than a year. So it's, but and that's what it's all about, right? Like, the market's going to change. We're going to have outside factors that are going to change our business one way or the other, and we can either stay down that same path and just keep trying to make something work in a different market, or you can shift and find something else that works. And it sounds like you are a shifter and a mover.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, that's the one constant is that things will change, the real
Hmm.
estate market, and I think you're right, though. There's too many people that, I don't know, they kinda bang their head against the wall thinking that they're the old is gonna work in a new environment, and
Yeah.
you're really in real estate. If you're gonna be involved in real estate, you kind of have to be looking ahead and kind of, as soon as you see those signs, you gotta react and kind of shift as quickly as you can.
No, I agree, man. And it's all like, with things changing constantly, sometimes you have to just, you shift, you make a move, and sometimes it doesn't work. So you have to, try something else or and and
That's
and
right.
what I found is like, the people that find real success really do tend to find really, really niche things. And so like for you with land flipping, I feel like that's a super unique thing that probably not a ton of real estate agents would dive into because like you
No.
said, selling raw land is completely different than, selling a completed house.
Right. Yeah,
So that's cool.
it's interesting because you know, I always had this picture of land investing as you buy up a big parcel along the highway and you hope you're in the path of development. And
Right,
someday, maybe not in the near future, but someday that property is going to be worth a lot more. In the
right.
meantime, you don't get any income unless you're lucky enough to get a billboard on there or something like that.
I gotcha.
Uh, but uh, but this is completely different. It's all about short-term flips, and
Yeah,
60-day hold time is our average, so we're moving these things as quickly as possible.
that's super
And
cool. So what are the types of things you look for in a land parcel? Because
yeah,
like you said, that there's obviously probably a strategy to, yeah, buying land near something, hoping it's going to get developed. But again, that can take 5 years, 10 years, 20,
right.
30 years. But I mean, you're flipping them short term. So I mean, are you talking like 30, 60 days is when you're hoping to, like, by the time you buy a property, you're hoping to sell it within 30 or 60 days?
Exactly, yeah, we put it
Okay.
on the market, we're hoping to be under contract within a couple weeks, and then obviously we've got the resale escrow period, which, 30 to 45 days in on average, and
Okay.
then be closed out of it. So,
And are you
sometimes we're
typically
able to, I think the quickest I've had even been able to, move on from property that we actually closed on and purchased was like 14 days. So, because there's
heck
cash
yeah,
buyers
heck
and
yeah.
land a lot of times, and, it's
Yeah.
pretty simple.
No, it is. It's, as
Yeah.
as a lender, I know how difficult it is to get financing for raw
Yes.
land. So I'm sure you're dealing with mostly, cash investors, people that can just pay that up front. So
Mhm. Yep. Yep.
okay.
And we do have a lot of people though that are they feel their purchase comes from maybe a HELOC or a second that they put on their primary residence, and then they use
Love it.
that to buy the second property, the land
Yeah.
cash. So
No, I love that. That's one of the things I talk about a ton is creative financing. Everybody thinks that you need liquid cash, like sitting in the bank account to be able to be an investor of, any caliber, whether we're talking
right.
real estate or land. But I'm like, no, you don't have to have that. Like there's so many ways to access money, especially if you're a homeowner. Like if like right now, I mean, you're in San Diego, we're here in Arizona. We've seen record high appreciation over the last few years. So anybody that's bought a home in the last few years, you're sitting on a ton of equity, and
Yeah.
if you're not using that money to help, fuel something else and bring additional income, then I feel like you're just missing out because there's a ton of opportunity in the market that we're in right now. But there's also a lot of fear and there's risk involved, and a lot of people aren't into that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's right. If you're going to be an investor or business person of any kind, there's always that risk reward.
Yep.
And like you said earlier, not everything works out,
Right.
exactly as planned.
Oh
So
yeah.
you got to take
Yeah.
those shots, you got to take the shots. And if you don't take the shots, you're going to be, living that life where, you're probably not going to have the same upside. So, but,
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
know,
No,
so
I hear you, man. Like I'm, risk is a funny thing when you use that word, but it's like if you don't try stuff, even if you fail, I mean, it's okay to fail. I think so many people are afraid to try something and it's not going to work out. But it's like if you try it and it doesn't work out, well, now you know what doesn't work, and you can try something else.
That's
Like
right.
it's to me,
You know,
it's
and
not. I don't know. To me, it's
it's
not rocket
interesting
science.
because, like the risk is different than I think than it used to be just because of the availability of information.
Right.
If I was going to come up with this idea that I was going to do this land flipping and just try to figure out every piece of it myself, that's a lot more risky because everything's an experiment kind of.
Yeah.
But in my case, I bought a training program from someone. They had already figured out kind of the business model. I adapted it a little bit to what I wanted to do,
Okay.
but I had already they already knew what worked and what didn't work, so it's kind of less risky, especially we can see evidence from people that are actually making it work in a certain way.
100%. Oh man,
Yeah.
that's it right there. I mean, that is such an untapped resource, I feel as well. Like if you look at it, if there's something that you want to do in life or something that you want to become, all you got to do is find somebody that's already done it and then just learn from them, whether that's, paying them for their time or, enrolling in a coaching service or I mean, honestly, like I'll buy books on things sometimes just because I'm curious about how it works. And then I'll just, read up on it as much as I can, try to learn from more people. I mean, we have so much information at our fingertips every single day. And half the time people are just, scrolling, liking other people's
Yeah.
comments, sharing memes. But if you use the technology that we have, right here in front of us, like there's so much opportunity and you can really learn anything that you want to learn.
Yeah. Yeah, I was talking to someone the other day and they were, thinking about starting a business and all these different business ideas they were
Yeah.
talking about. I was like, you really don't have to reinvent the wheel. I mean,
No.
you don't have to come up with some sort of concept that's super,
Yep.
cutting edge or something like that. And obviously, people make a lot of money with those type of businesses when they're able to figure out some sort of new product or
Sure. Yeah.
something. But, there's the other way to go about it is to just take a proven business model that works for other people and just do it. Like even
Yeah.
if you come up with a great idea these days, as soon as you get it out there, it's going to be copied by many other
Oh,
people. So,
absolutely.
so you
No,
kind of wonder what's
absolutely.
the point,
No, I agree with that, man. Like, there's a million people like again, you're in real estate. I'm a mortgage lender. Like they're a dime a dozen. Like you can knock on, 5 doors and one of them's probably going to be involved in real estate somehow. Like
Yeah.
everyone's in it. So at the end of the day, the only way I was listening to a coaching session from Tom Ferry. He's a, real estate coach. And he put this picture up of a potato chip aisle in a grocery store. And he's like, this is you. Like, these are real estate agents. Like, all of these are potato chips. Sure, they have different flavors, different, colors, different brands. But at the end of the day, they all are the same thing. So how are you standing out? What are you doing that's going to help? Why is somebody going to choose you as this bag of potato chips and not the one next to it? So at the end of the day, everything, regardless of what you're selling or what service you have to offer, it all comes down to personal brand. And if you're not investing in that personal brand, putting yourself out there, like, because nobody can be you.
That's right.
They might do similar things, but nobody is Pete Reese.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And
like,
lucky for them.
no, you seem like a
But
good
yeah,
dude.
like everyone's got their own thing and you just got to own it, right?
Well, you got big goals, man. So I
Yeah.
know when we first set this up, I got a little bio, and so one of the things that stuck out to me in your bio was one of your personal goals or personal dreams in life is to buy and own a private island.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
next
One of these
level,
days.
man. Like you always hear, right? If your dreams aren't big enough to scare you, then you gotta dream bigger. But that's a pretty baller dream right there. So what are your goals? I mean, why is that a goal of yours? How did that come to be? And tell me a little bit about that, man.
That's I don't know how I really came upon that. I just kind of always had it on my mind. I was like, that would be like the ultimate. If I can own
Right?
my own private island, that would be it. And maybe I'll use the same model I've got now to acquire the private island. Just send out some
Hey,
letters to these owners and
why not, man? Hey, you
someone
never
will
know.
someone will bite. It is funny because last year, one of the letters that we sent out, because we send out to huge lists, like property
Okay.
owners that are certain acreage and above in a certain area. And this was, I think it was North Carolina, South Carolina, or something like that. They have those kind of barrier islands out there.
Right.
And we had sent a letter to some guy that owned, like this 5 or 7 acre island. It was
Yeah.
actually, like not really usable for anything, all wetlands and everything
Oh,
like
okay.
that. But I just thought it was funny, you know. And the guy's like, "Oh, I might be interested in selling it." And I was
Okay.
like, "Oh, maybe this is it."
See,
But then I
you
was like,
never
"What do I
know,
do with
right?
that place?" You know. So
It's that's what it's all about, man. It's just, finding the right people, and the only way you can do that is by constantly reaching out, marketing, putting yourself out there. So you guys do a lot of like mailers,
oh yeah,
cold call,
yeah.
like
Right now,
how do you find these clients?
yeah, right now it's all direct mail, and we
Okay.
send out a ton of it. So we're sending out offers to all these people.
Okay.
So so
Are you
actually,
putting
it's a
the
two
offer
page.
like on the postcard or just saying like call us for an offer?
It's a two-page letter. At first
Okay.
page is kind of explaining who we are, why we're contacting them, and what we're doing.
Okay.
Second page is actually a purchase agreement. One page per purchase agreement. It's got their parcel information on it, and then it's also got an actual offer price. Um,
Okay.
Offer price is based off of averages for that particular area, so it's not always exact.
Right.
Sometimes we're too high, sometimes we're too low. It
Yeah,
just kind of depends, and we don't really know until the lead comes in, and then we really evaluate it. But
that makes sense.
so people sometimes they'll sign it and then send it back to me in the mail, and
Okay.
then we'll see if it's if it's a good deal or what the deal is. Well,
Yeah.
at that point, but a lot of those we just end up going forward with and end up closing the purchase. Um,
That's really cool.
yeah, and then some people call and they're upset because we offered too low. You know, they
Yeah.
want to chew me out, but I have an answering service, so I don't answer the phone myself. So
Right? Yeah, I was gonna
it gets
say
to me. We filter all those people out. So
that's how it is, man. It's hit or miss when you're marketing when you're doing that mass marketing like that. Not mass, but targeted to specific individuals that own land parcels. Yeah, but there's always going to be people like I get those phone calls too, like, hey, we're interested in buying your house. I'm like, well, my wife's a real estate agent. She probably is not going to let me sell it to you, but
I don't think I could sign that listing agreement without getting in trouble.
yeah, I'm going to get in some trouble if I go down that road. So.
Yeah.
But that's cool, man. So, and you said a lot of your like investor style clients you got while you were on the like when you were a real estate broker and doing standard transactions, you found a lot of those people found that they had a need because again, I feel like most investors, I could care less what it is I'm buying. If you can show me something that it's going to make me money, then I'm open to listen to that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, it was interesting because when I was handling the listings for the banks, when all the foreclosures were happening, it was just crazy time, like so many foreclosures. And, I would list these properties. And even at that time, I mean, it was just a feeding frenzy. I'd
Yeah.
list a property and it'd be 30 offers, 30 cash offers. And these are
Wow.
all investors,
Yeah.
pretty much. And
And what year was this? This was during the '08.
2008,
Okay.
2010, in that range. And,
Okay.
so that was the worst market of all time. And there was
Yeah.
that much activity. I mean, the thing is, the prices just reset.
Right.
So, but it felt like it was overnight. But, and that gives me a little bit of calm. Who knows what kind of market we're going into or how things are actually going to play out or whatever. But just
I agree.
knowing that things sell, things sell even in the worst of all times. It's just a matter of
100%.
the price.
Correct. Well, it's
So,
the price. I mean, at the end of the day, the law of supply and demand is king. Like it's
yeah,
just,
yeah,
that's always going to set the price. And when there's something in low supply and a lot of people want it, that drives the price up. And when the opposite happens, it drives the price down. Like
yeah.
it's economics 101, and you can really plug pretty much anything into that category. But it's just, yeah, those things change. So as we enter into, I don't know, I feel like we're already in kind of a recessionary time frame, regardless that people like to change
It's yeah.
definitions.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's different than before,
It is.
before, seriously, like anyone was getting a loan and there was I mean, you've probably heard about people talking about that time period. Like the loans were very easy. Like we
Right.
bought a house, my wife and I, as an investment home. This is our first flip that we ever did. We
Yeah.
bought it with I think the purchase price was like 750,000 or something like that. So it
Okay.
wasn't like a cheap house, and
Sure.
especially for the time. And we bought it with an 80-20 loan, which you can't
Okay.
do those anymore. So
Nope.
it's
Nope.
80%
Those
first,
are gone.
20% piggyback second at
Mhm.
closing, and
Basically, it's 100% financing. It's
100% financing. Yeah. And I think we even wrote in the contract that the seller paid, some of the closing costs. So I think we came out of pocket with like nothing.
that's
And what
awesome.
happened was we we closed on it, and then instantly one of the neighbors had contacted my agent that we used to purchase the property and wanted to buy it from us. So we ended up
Already. You
making
just
like
that's right after you
75
closed
grand on it, and we didn't even make a payment.
before you sold it?
Yeah, before we sold it, we got a call from our mortgage broker. I felt bad for him. He's like, "Hey, what happened with this? They're charge me back my commission because
Oh, no. Oh,
I
yeah,
never
yeah, you
made a
get the commission
payment." So,
buyback.
yeah, so,
Man.
so we did a lot more deals with him. So he,
Yeah, it works out, right?
but
That's cool. I mean, well, that's it though, right? Like, but
yeah,
had you not taken that chance, you never would have known.
yeah. And I guess my point in that whole matter was things were crazy. Like they were giving loans to anyone that basically said they made a certain amount, and
Right. It was all
100%
stated.
financing. It's obviously it's a lot more difficult these days than it was
Yeah.
back then. And that and that caused people to not really be as invested in these properties. They were looking at something that they, for instance, they bought something for 500,000, and then the market started like crashing quick. Like it was like
Yeah.
it felt like an overnight
Yeah.
reset kind of.
I heard it was
And
really
then
fast.
yeah, like prices were then at like that same house that they bought for 500, 30, 45 days later, like a foreclosure was selling for 350. And then,
Man.
so like and then they looked at that and they said, wait a second, I just paid 500 for this house. It's never going to get back. Now it's worth 350. It's never going to get back up to 500. So
Right.
then you would have this snowball effect. Like all the neighbors and things are saying, I'm going to just walk away from mine too,
It's
and
true.
especially
Yeah.
if they put no money down, they were not invested in that way. So it was just
Right.
kind of like this, this big
Car
snowball
wash.
thing. And, that's obviously a different scenario than what we're in now. A lot of people have
Big
got some
time.
pretty, really, really aggressive interest rates that they were able to pick up over the last few years, and they're not
Oh,
they're
yeah.
not getting rid of that.
No,
So
it's a very different time. Like that's something I try to educate so many people on because there are a lot of people that are afraid to buy right now because of what the media is saying. A lot of the media has been saying for years that we're headed for another crash, that we're going to have it happen again, that prices went up too fast, too quick. But it's like though they are such different economic timeframes, and
different.
there's so much that is different. So I mean, again, I researched this like crazy, but a lot of it had to do with, one, builders were they were overbuilding. So there were too many homes. Loans were way too easy to get because, it was all stated income. A standard individual could buy 4 or 5 properties. And like you said, when you're no money down on them and the value drops by $200,000, like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to let that one go. And then it just created this snowball effect of, homes that were, banks owed way more than what they were worth, and nobody wanted to buy them. And it was just, it was a very different thing than what we're looking at now. Because right now we still don't have enough homes, regardless of what's happening, to keep up with the current demand and current birth rates and household formations. Like it's
Yeah,
just
I
the
mean,
data's
yeah,
right
like
there.
to your point, the thing about the inventory level of homes is completely different back then.
Yeah.
And this is before things crashed. This is kind of like the heyday of like all these builders were building all these tract home communities. If you're
Right.
if you're familiar with Southern California, there's an area called Temecula, Murrieta,
Oh yeah, yeah. I know
in
Temecula.
Riverside County. Yeah, so there was lots of building going on there, lots of tract
Oh yeah.
communities. They were really favorable to the builders, than the big subdivision builders. And there were certain intersections like we just had to laugh. We'd go up there for shopping or whatever, and there was the sign twirler,
Yeah.
people. Like we went to this one intersection. I know we took a picture of it, but we can't find it. We were hopefully one of these days we can dig it up. But
Yeah.
there was at least 2 sign twirlers on each corner of this big this big intersection. All different builders. All these different communities.
Yeah.
They're all trying to sell this inventory that they had, and it was a craziness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, uh,
Like
it's,
used
it's
cars.
definitely
Like,
not
hey,
not like that now.
come buy this $1 million house. It's no,
That's
buy our
right.
$1 million house. Like,
I know, just crazy. And they all had lots of inventory to sell. It's not like
oh yeah.
they were all sold out or anything like that. Like they
Right.
all
Yeah,
they
different
all had to
times for
overbuild.
sure. Not like last year where you had to get on a lottery/waiting list just to even have an opportunity to purchase a lot.
Yeah, yeah, seriously. Just nuts.
So, yeah, no, it's wild though, man. So,
Yeah.
but I do think because that happened, the builders, especially this time around, have been very cautious not to
Oh yeah.
overbuild. And so it's good because again, they're still haven't been building enough to keep up with the current household formations. But again, they were burned once, and so they're playing it extra cautious this time, which will, I think there's pros and cons to that as far as the overall economic ramifications of that, because I think it's going to help keep prices steady, but I think we're going to see less of the constant, like shoot up real fast and then kind of go back down, which is what needs to happen. So
Yeah.
I think it's all for the best right now.
Yeah, it's like I think the other factor that we've got into play here is the kind of inflationary environment
Oh yeah.
that's like that upward pressure,
Yeah. Things are more
obviously the higher
expensive right
interest
now.
rates are the downward pressure, and the low inventory is upward pressure also. So it's kind of like it's not as clear as things, as
Right.
the media I think wants to make it out to be sometimes. So, but
Oh yeah.
ultimately,
Yeah, I was gonna say,
the one thing
yeah,
I
go
learned
ahead.
about real estate is I don't know what's going to happen. So anyhow,
Nobody does, right?
yeah,
Like there's certain trend lines, there's certain things you can look at. But yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, even right now, like I'm sure you can buy a piece of land, think it's gonna sell, and then it doesn't, and maybe you have to sell it for less. And it's just how it goes. Some things are just hit or miss. Nothing's a guarantee in life, especially in real estate.
yeah, for sure.
Well, that's cool,
Yeah,
man. Well, all right.
yeah.
Well, the other thing I read, let's see. So father of three, you've got three girls, huh?
Oh yeah, yep. Three. They're like 22, 20, and 12.
Oh, that's
So
awesome. So girl
yeah,
dad, all in, huh?
yeah, that's right.
That's so cool, man. And
Yeah.
you've been with your wife, this whole time?
Oh yeah. Since married in '99, so
Congratulations, man.
quite a
That's
few
so
years.
cool. That is awesome. And then let's see, so keeps up with family by working out. And so you're on the vegan diet, fully
Oh
vegan?
yeah. Vegan.
Nice.
Yeah, I know.
How long you been doing that for?
I've been vegan since I guess 3 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My wife and my oldest daughter have been for longer.
Okay.
And I've been vegetarian for a lot longer than that.
Yeah.
Probably I don't know, getting close to 10 years
Okay.
vegetarian, and then I took it up a notch, did
Yeah.
vegan.
Go full
It's
vegan.
pretty easy for me. Our whole family is at least vegetarian, and some of us are vegan now.
Oh,
So,
that's cool, man.
it's I used to love hamburgers just like anyone else, and then I just, for
No,
health reasons, and
there's a lot of
longevity, and
health benefits to it, man.
there
Like
really
I
are.
got, I'm not vegan myself, but I did it for a little bit. I went through over the last couple about a year and a half, almost 2 years, like a little personal, fitness weight loss journey. I used to be about 60 pounds heavier than what you see now,
Me too.
just about a year ago. And so one
That's
one of
great.
the
Good
things
for
that I
you.
tried, yeah, one of the things that I tried was the vegetarian and then the vegan. And I was shocked, like how much good food you can have. Like there's so much you can do with vegan food. Like, and I'm actually lactose intolerant anyways, so
Yeah.
I've kept up. Like I still eat meat, but I try to go dairy free as much as possible. So I'm always using like soy based stuff, or vegan substitutes for pastas and like cream sauces. Because number one, I feel a million times better after eating
Yeah.
something like
Yeah.
that.
Seriously.
But it's just like I was really shocked of the health benefits of vegan and vegetarianism. So I'm all for it, man. That's a great lifestyle.
Yeah, it's people always ask me, "Is it hard?"
Yeah,
At this point, it honestly is not that hard for me. I
yeah.
mean, it's kind of the
It's your life.
environment I'm into with my family and stuff, I know, but there's so
Yeah.
many just alternatives, and you can go out to any restaurant, there's always things to eat.
Oh,
You're not gonna have the
100%.
whole menu at
Right.
your disposal, but you can always find stuff or modify something to like,
Yeah,
"Hey, can I have that without the cheese?" Whatever.
definitely.
Like it's easy to do, and
Yeah,
I don't know. I figure, if you don't have your health, you've got nothing. So I try to
100%, man.
really focus on that these days. And when I was younger, I didn't really realize the importance of that. You kind of feel
Yeah,
like you're bulletproof.
you and me
But
both, buddy. You think you're gonna live forever, you can eat what you want. Like,
yeah,
I was always one of those really skinny kids that just could eat whatever he wanted, and then, you
yeah.
get married, you have kids, and it
Oh
slowly
yeah,
catches up to you, and
it
it
does.
it it was
It
like a sticker shock. I was looking at a picture, I was like, "Holy shit, wait a minute, is that me? Because that's a fat guy. I don't like that." And so, yeah, it caused me to make some changes, and yeah, definitely, you gotta be healthy, man. Like
yeah. I went through the same thing. It's like when my wife was pregnant, I joke around. I'm like, I gained more weight than you did.
sympathy way, brother. I did the
Yeah,
same
that's
thing.
right. I don't know why that was, but
It's just what we do, right? Like,
yeah,
"Oh,
that's right.
I'll eat with you. I'll eat this,
That's
this
right.
this entire large pizza by myself,"
That's right.
Well, that's cool, man. Well, you
Yeah.
look great, dude. So, I
Oh,
mean,
thank you too.
sounds like you're doing awesome things. And then let's see, last little piece I wanted to touch on here. So you are the 31st great grandson of King Henry II?
Yeah, Crazy,
That is
right?
so cool.
And I didn't even know that. My daughter, was really interested in ancestry.com. So there's
Okay.
all these clues that it keeps bringing up, and she kept following him back and following him
Uh-huh.
back. And then she kind of realized that was, we have this whole lineage, and not just King
Lineage.
Henry II, but there's a number of other
Yeah.
um, people in that line as well. But the crazy thing was that we went on a couple European trips, and we
Okay.
ended up in Dover, in UK, England,
Okay.
and that was the castle that he built,
No
and I didn't even
way.
know it at the time.
And that, I
So,
mean, that's
and we were
technically
in
your
there.
family.
We
You're
were
like, "Hey,
there.
we're gonna
Yeah,
grab a room. We're gonna be staying."
I
So
know. I didn't even get free admission. It was like $30 to get in, but
it's messed up. You're like, "This is my
yeah,
family's castle." That's super cool.
yeah,
No, yeah, family history is a cool thing, man. So
yeah,
yeah, you got royalty. I mean, yeah, back
yeah,
then the private island's not that big of a
yeah,
stretch
yeah. I
now, right?
know.
You're like,
One of
"Look
these
what my
days.
ancestors were doing. They were building
I know.
castles." I mean,
Yeah,
we're trying to live up to the family name at this
I
point.
know. Yeah.
That's super cool, man. That is really cool. Well, dude, you're doing really good things. I'm trying to think, man. Like, what else is going on in in San Diego right now? What's keeping you excited? Is it just all this land stuff, or you got anything else on the horizon?
Yeah, well, the land stuff is really good. I'm trying to scale it as much as possible. So that's been
Okay,
my major focus. I mean, this year, you know, 3.7-ish, I think we're going to do in revenue. And next year, I really
that's
think we
awesome.
can do 10 million. And there's a number of things I got to do to scale. I mean,
Okay,
first of all, increasing our average transaction price is probably going
okay,
to help me scale that revenue and profit. You know, like, um, this year, probably most of our purchases are between, 20 and $100,000 on the purchase side, and then we
okay.
try to double that on the resale.
Yeah,
But trying to get into larger and larger properties as well, and obviously that will help. Get those numbers up quite a bit more as well. So
definitely.
it's constantly it's hard to start at those larger ones.
It
It's
is.
easier to start at the small ones where you buy for 5,000 and sell it for
Mhm.
20,000. I mean, that's a great profit margin, but it's hard to really accumulate the numbers.
No, it's true though, but it is a long game. Like I feel like with
Yeah.
anything, like I've had so many buddies and just past people reach out to me like, "Hey, I want to get into what you want to do. I want to get into what you're doing. I want to make money really fast." I'm like, "Okay, well, that's not going to happen. Let me just tell you that works. There's no such thing as getting rich quick. Like
Nah.
you get lucky every once in a while, but it is a period of just lots of trial and error. Like you said, scaling, figuring out what works, what doesn't work, hiring people. But it's a process and it's a constant journey. So, I mean, is this something? Do you have a team of people helping you with this? Is it just you and your wife, or
Yeah, yeah. I've actually built a pretty large team, which is
okay,
helping me scale us considerably. So I've got a lead manager, got someone who, and he also coordinates kind of the due diligence on the properties as soon as we get them under contract. So he kind of orders the photographer to go out there and all kinds of different
nice,
things that we kind of do for our due diligence.
okay,
And he enters everything into our CRM system.
okay,
Then I've also got an acquisition manager, and her job is to basically be direct contact with all the property owners. She's calling them, texting them,
on
emailing them
top
if
of the
that if
direct
that's the
mailing,
case.
you've got someone making phone calls to the people you're sending the
Well,
letters
yeah,
out as
and
well.
it's pretty much she deals with everything that comes inbound. So we send out the direct mail that
Got it.
gets the responses going,
Those are the
and
cold
then her
leads,
job.
and then
Yeah,
shoot for
exactly. Her
follow-up.
job is to turn those leads into an actual signed contract.
Okay, okay,
Uh, then I've got another person on my team that is a property analyst. And basically, he's evaluating all these properties that come in and kind
okay.
of deciding what a good purchase price would be, or what the property might be worth on the resale side, and kind of really looking into the due diligence as well, and making sure that there aren't some hidden things about the property that we didn't know about.
For sure.
Um, and then I've got another person on my team which is a transaction manager, and she handles all the purchase transactions and all the resale transactions,
Contracts,
all
all
the
that good
paperwork,
stuff.
and all that stuff that goes with it.
Right.
So, and at this point, I'm pretty much just kind of. Oh, and I've also got a team member that helps build all the lists and kind of scrubs the list, meaning taking out certain records and kind of refining all those lists before we
Okay.
send the mail out.
That makes
Um,
sense, okay.
yeah,
Updating the
so
CRM,
so
updating the
we're
data.
yeah, exactly, yeah, and then we're just, and then me at this point, I'm just kind of approving the deals, kind of making the decisions and trying to, do the bigger picture stuff, I guess.
Quality assurance, right? Yeah,
That's
making sure
right.
it's all working.
Still
No,
seems like
that's
I'm working all the time, but
no, I mean, that's exactly what it is, right? Is
yeah.
because again, when you're building anything, I'm sure in the beginning it was you doing a lot of that
Oh
stuff,
yeah.
kind of figuring out what works, and then that's the goal, right? Like that's what I talk to anybody that wants to start a business or maybe has a business that they're looking to grow or scale. I'm like, the model is pretty basic. You map out what you want your process to look like, and then you hire for the parts that you can hire until most of it's automated, right? I mean, the
That's
goal
right.
is for you to build it to where it kind of runs itself. Like if you can have a business that's where you're mostly off hands and it's just running itself. And again, that's, I make it sound really easy, but you know that it's not. It's a
Yeah.
daily
I mean,
process. It takes months, years to figure what that is. And then even once you have it figured out, something can change and you got to go in, or maybe an employee leaves, or you find there's a new model that's no longer working, or you're making less money because prices are going up, or there's less buyers. Like, it's a constant process of reevaluating that process and making sure it works.
yeah. 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 For me, I mean, like with this business, like I was doing everything myself. I had an assistant that
Yeah.
had come over with me from another business that we had. And, I would learn how to do things. And then I would gradually teach him how to do some of those things to kind of take the job off my plate. And
Yeah.
gradually I would just hire more people to take more things off my plate. And, so I
Well, that's
guess
the
the
goal,
goal
right?
would be to just, get myself out of the business, but I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Well, it's easy when you love it, right? Like,
That's
that's
right.
the
That's
point.
right.
Like, I can tell you're a guy that, really enjoys what he does, really passionate about, what you're doing. So, and I do believe in that part of it as well. Cause if you're going to pick something and you're going to, work on it, you have to make sure you actually enjoy doing it. Otherwise, it's just no fun to wake up in the morning.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I love the deal part of that.
Yeah.
I like finding the deals. I like, doing what we can to create some value and then reselling them. It's kind of like a thrill, buying and
Yeah.
selling and stuff. I like that.
Buying and
Feels like a
selling,
lot of
man.
action.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. The art of the deal.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, cool, man. Well, Pete, are you a big reader? Like
I
read books?
mostly listen to books, so
Oh, audiobook
I
guy.
can read, but I'm not. No,
Okay.
I mostly listen. I feel like I process the information better, like audiobooks.
I got you.
So
See, and
yeah,
it's funny because I'm the exact opposite. Like I have
really.
friends that are big into the audiobooks. I I have to be reading the words, otherwise my brain wanders. Like I can't listen to something. I have to listen to just music because anytime I try to listen to an audiobook or something like that, I just start, my brain starts to wander. I got too much going on up here. So
Yeah, yeah, really.
I gotta immerse myself in the book. But
Yeah,
what are the audiobooks that you're listening to right now? What's a favorite that you have? I like
yeah.
to ask everybody this question.
If you're into marketing and everything, one of the books I've been recommending to people, I think is awesome, is called $100 Million Offers.
Okay.
Never no, don't know
No,
if
I
you've
actually
heard
don't
of it,
know that
but
one. I'm gonna look it up
yeah,
right
you
now.
should check it out. I mean, if you're into marketing and that's kind of your world,
Yeah.
you'll get a
Yeah.
lot. You'll get a lot from it. It's
Very
incredible,
cool. What's it
really.
called? $100 million
$100 Million Offers. Yeah.
million
So
dollar.
yeah,
Found it. Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah,
yeah,
there it is.
really good
Amazon's
one.
got everything, man.
Yeah, they got it all. They got it all. That's kind of the one I've been, and the thing for me is I used to try to be kind of on a thing where I'd be like, okay, I'm going to listen to a new book every week or something like
Yeah.
that and be on that schedule with that. I'm more focused lately on kind of when I find a book I like, kind of listen to it,
Yeah.
many times to try to get all the details and really
Oh,
focus in on that and
I like
and
that.
and go for it. Because I found like when I was listening to lots of different books, you kind of have good broad knowledge of a lot of things,
Yeah.
but I never really got it too deep into things because I would forget all the details.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Like if you get into that quantity where you're like you read really fast or reading a lot of different things, they can get like kind of convoluted sometimes and mixed up.
yeah.
So I like
Yeah,
that
and then you've
idea.
got some
Just
conflicting messages sometimes with some of
right.
these things, and
Oh,
it's
big
hard to
time.
kind of process that and know what to do sometimes. But another good one that you might have heard of is called Atomic Habits.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I actually just
That's a
got
great
done reading that one not too long
Oh,
ago.
did you really?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a good one.
That
Like,
is a really good one.
they're really basic concepts. Like, I feel like anytime I
Oh, yeah.
read these, like, self-help books or, books to help you get better, you're just like, it's all really basic, but at the end of the day, all of this is really basic. It's all about just, it's like working out and eating right. It's just a lot of little daily habits that add up to really exciting things.
Yeah, yeah, and I guess it's like keeping in mind that sometimes you may not see the results right away.
Oh,
Some of these things,
absolutely.
they take quite some time to actually build up and really gain momentum with. But
Right, right.
if you're doing the right things, it will pay off, and you just gotta be patient, I guess,
You
right?
gotta be patient, man. Right? I mean, yeah, if you could go to the gym for one day and just come out super ripped and in the
That'd
shape
be
of your
awesome.
life, like who wouldn't do that, right?
Yeah.
But no, it's sometimes it'll take 6, 7 months of doing that every day and then feeling like you have 0 results. And then that's why I'm a big believer of like taking that initial photo, like anytime you're, taking progress photos, tracking it, because I know when I first started, I was just like, I'm not making any progress. Like the scale isn't moving. Like I still feel like garbage. This doesn't work. And then I look at a picture from 6 months ago and I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, no, it's working. Like we're doing
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
So it's
definitely.
just
Yeah, and people that haven't seen you for a while, they're like, "Oh my god, you look great," like,
yeah, you get in
so
your own head sometimes. So,
yeah.
you gotta track it, you gotta, stay motivated. And then I'm a big believer in, having accountability partners as well. So do you have anybody
Yeah.
like that, either personally or in your business, that kind of helps drive you, keep you on track, or are you a pretty self-motivated guy?
I don't have any specific person. Well, I'm very accountable to my wife. We discuss everything business-wise, and
Love
we're
it.
kind of
Okay.
always talking about that kind of stuff. I mean,
That's good.
I'd use the accountability concept in a way that, I do, I write a monthly income report, which basically goes over the income we did each month and the deals
Yeah.
we did and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of my,
Yeah,
at least for this business, that keeps me really focused on trying to
for
make that
sure.
as good as I can, the results as good as I can.
100% right. Yeah, I'm a big numbers guy too. I like to
Yeah,
analyze my month, figure out what worked, and then how do we make it better. So,
that's
and
right.
again, you're not always going to do every single month, but you can learn from those situations and find out why. And so, that's
Yeah.
cool, man.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it'd be nice if everything was perfect and continually, like, straight line up like you want it to be, but
Be
it's
great,
not
right?
reality, right?
Yeah, this will be so let's see. I've been in my business for about 7 years now, and this will be the first year that I won't have done better than the year prior, and it has been really hard on me personally. Like I'm
Yeah,
just like,
yeah,
I went through kind of this like depression, like I'm not doing as good as I did the year before, just because it was a different market this year. But I was like, but then I looked back and I tried to remember all the things that I did learn and all the things that new processes that I put into place. So I'm like, okay, income didn't quite be the target that I wanted to, but here's my processes I can put in place. And so now next year I'm, setting myself up for success. So you have to be willing to take those steps backward every once in a while,
yeah,
but it
yeah.
it still
It's
hurts,
not
right?
always.
Like when
Yeah,
when you're motivated and you're, used to success, it's hard to take a step back sometimes.
yeah, that's right. Well, you can't control the market, that's the other thing. Just gotta adapt
Absolutely.
to it. So,
You got to adapt. And so, yeah, I had to shift a lot of the things that I do. Like I'm doing much more of this, virtual type thing, meeting people virtually now instead of in meetings. And,
yep.
I mean, COVID turned us on to a lot of that stuff. Like we were
Oh, yeah,
forced to, to shift our business that way because the world was shut down. We couldn't do anything. So you
that's
had to
right. You
find other
you have to
ways
adapt, right?
to meet people, get
Yeah,
social. That's how I started these. I started doing these digital happy hours once a month with like real estate agents and other people, just so I could, have another face and somebody to talk to besides my
yeah,
wife
that's
and
right.
kids. Like,
I know, I know. The funny thing,
so
the weird thing about it is that with the technology, I mean, it feels like you're here. It, like, feels like you're
right.
right in front of me, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
exactly.
you
You,
almost
you could be
forget
sitting at my
sometimes.
bar right now and it
Yeah,
would
I know. You almost forget, like, so I don't know. It is interesting, like, and,
it's wild.
it's, things have definitely changed in that way, and I think that, people who are leveraging that technology can really do big things, so,
Oh, I agree. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm excited to see, what, I'm a big I really like change. Like I like things change. They get boring when they stay the same. So I like to switch things up. And so I'm excited to see where just the future of tech is headed. So
Yeah.
I mean, we can go down a rabbit hole with that stuff. I mean,
Yeah,
you got the
seriously.
metaverse. You got what are your thoughts on that? I've been talking to people about this metaverse thing. Do you think that's going to catch on, or you think it's kind of going to be a fad that just goes away?
Um, it makes sense to me that it would catch on, at least with a
You think
certain segment of the
there's a place for
population.
it?
There's a certain segment of the population that probably never adopt it,
Of
people that are
course,
alive
yeah.
now
Well,
that,
just
but
just like the internet, right? There's still a
yeah,
handful
it's
of
right.
people that don't have,
Yeah, some people don't have
social
cell
media.
phones still, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
I mean, it's a very small percentage, but
Yeah, I know. Some people don't have email. We actually deal with a lot of people that, not a lot, but some people don't have an email address.
really,
Some of these, yeah,
blows my
property
mind.
owners. Yeah, it's crazy. But but I do think that it does make sense that it will evolve and actually become part of life.
I agree.
I don't, that who knows what that actually the form of that will actually be, I guess. But
And I think that's the big question. I think
Mhm.
there is something. I don't know what it is yet.
We're probably we're too early, for
Yeah,
it to have any sort of like big adoption yet. But
I agree.
something's going to happen with that. But
It
who
has to,
knows
right? I mean,
exactly
yeah,
when? But
we're constantly evolving, and so I mean there's just it's funny to see kind of what takes shapes, but I think anytime you can connect people, or get people to connect from around the world and get a chance to meet people, like I think that's where things thrive, because as individuals, as human beings, we need people. You need tribes, you need you
yeah,
need your family, you need your people, and you're going to find like-minded people regardless. Like, I mean, yeah, I mean, look at us right now. Like, I'm in my basement in Arizona and you're in San Diego. Like, we're
yeah,
connected through social media. Like,
yeah,
I've
craziness.
never met you before, and here we are
Yeah,
talking, having a conversation. Like,
I
so
know. I
life's
know it's a
nuts, man.
crazy world. People looking at this, 30 years ago couldn't have fathomed something like this,
Right?
like
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
through your TV screen, like it's just
Right. Yeah. Like, it's nothing. Like, this is just an everyday thing for us now. Like,
yeah, yeah, I know. It's
uh,
nuts.
it's
But
like that. I remember the first time, like, I'm that generation where I got to see the birth of the internet when I was in high school, born in like 1985. So I remember the first time I did like an AOL chat and just like being blown away, like, holy shit, I'm talking to my friend across town from my computer. Like, I remember in that moment thinking, this is the coolest thing that has ever happened. Like, and
oh
now it's
yeah.
just, whatever.
I know, I know. It's just like no big deal. You can order something on Amazon and have it show up at your doorstep like
Yeah.
later in the
2
day.
hours later.
Yeah, just nuts.
Yeah, the same day Amazon is that one did get a little wild too. I was like, I just ordered that this morning and it's here already. Like, holy
I
shit.
know.
Like,
I know,
yeah.
it's amazing how they can do it. I mean, obviously they've got a
Oh,
lot of stuff going on, where they figured out how to logistically do all this stuff, and then I'm sure it's
oh.
very, very advanced. But
No,
uh,
I mean,
you
that
know,
that business plan, I mean, if you look at the bare bones of Amazon, I mean, that guy is just that's such a smart business model. I mean,
yeah, I mean, it's and the bottom line is it's a really good service,
mhm,
and that's why it's taken off. I mean, they make it so
100%.
easy to buy stuff. You can find anything on there, and the prices are going to be reasonable because you've got, generally you've got a few different sellers to pick from, and they're
Exactly.
all kind of competing with each other.
Right.
Um, returns are easy if you have to do something like that, and they made the shipping free. I mean,
Right.
obviously it's built into
That
the price,
that I
but
think was the
yeah,
most genius thing of all, because everybody hates to pay for shipping. Like, you could be on
yeah,
board with something like, "Oh, sweet, this is $50. Oh, $8 shipping? Yeah, I'm not gonna buy that."
yeah,
But if
yeah.
it was
I'll just go to the store and buy
$58
it.
with free
Yeah,
shipping, you click that button all day.
I know, and they've got the one-click purchase, so that makes it even easier,
Oh,
right? So
trust me, my she knows all about that.
I'm always breaking down boxes here. Do you have that same problem?
Man, so we put
Like
my
half
kid
my
in
life.
charge of it. Like, we got him a little pocket knife, and it's like his favorite thing to do now. He just goes
Really?
out back and just breaks down the boxes, throws them in my truck. Like, it's like,
Nice. I've tried to get my kids to do that, but they don't do it.
yeah, I did it
I
with
run out
him a
of our
few
yelling.
times, but I think the kicker was, he's a boy though, and so it was like, "Look, man, if I buy you your very own pocket knife to break these
Yeah.
down, he's like, 'Oh, you're gonna buy me a pocket knife?' So that was the kicker
It
for
was
us. So
yeah, it
he's
was
just
about the
excited to
pocket
use a
knife.
knife, like,
Yeah, that's good.
yeah, that my little girl, not so much. She's like, "No, I don't care." Like,
Yeah, I feel like I spend
uh
my whole life breaking down these boxes sometimes,
oh, man,
and I
the
never
story of my
catch up.
life. No, you never catch up. Yeah, like, you'll finally feel like you're there, and then 4 more boxes will show up.
Yeah, that's right, especially this time of the year.
Oh, Christmas, yeah, especially. So, y'all ready for Christmas? All ready to go?
Oh,
It's like
yeah,
3 days
yeah,
away.
yeah, and I have my wife to thank for that. She's the one that organizes everything this time of the year, which is great. It allows me to focus on the business and stuff, but,
100%.
she's got all that stuff dialed in, so thankfully, I've got that under control all because of her.
I'm the same way. Yep. I
Yeah.
saw a thing the other day. It was like it was a wife posting about Christmas, and she's like, "This year I got my husband the gift of just having to show up Christmas morning." And I'm like, "That's what my wife got me. Like, I
You know
just
what?
have
My
to
wife
show
sent
up."
me that exact same thing on Instagram or something. I swear
Yeah.
that exact same message. I was like, "Yes, I know."
Isn't it kind of fun though? Because Christmas morning is just as exciting for the dads as it is for
Oh,
the
yeah.
kids, because we have no idea what they're getting.
It's all a big surprise.
Yeah, we're like, "Oh, cool. You got that? That's awesome." We have no idea.
I know. Even if our wives told us, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I'm sure she's told me a few times, but,
Yeah, that's right. "I
you
told
just
you
act
about
like
that."
you're not
Oh,
surprised. "Oh, wow,
yes.
yeah, that's" good
Yep,
times,
I've been
man.
there.
Ugh. Well, Pete, it has been a pleasure talking to you, my man. We're coming
Yeah,
up on
same
just
here.
about an hour here, but it's been great to learn more about you, your business. If if we needed to get in contact with you, or if somebody has a land deal that they're looking to sell, how would we get a hold of you?
Yeah, basically it's at turningprofit.com. And
Turningprofit.com. Okay.
yeah, and that's my wife and I are starting launching our own podcast in January. It's about real estate investing and different real estate investing models. Obviously, we'll be talking about land flipping, but we'll also be interviewing other people that have different models that they're using to generate income or build wealth with.
Okay.
So, it's kind of our passion, real estate investing. And
That's awesome.
yeah, so that site there, that's where I publish a monthly income report. I appreciate you putting it on there.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. Got to get
Yeah,
it up there
and
for
yeah,
everybody.
so publish a monthly income report where we break down our business, how it's going. And then, I try to really break down each individual deal and what we learn from it. So you can kind of see what's possible with that model.
That's
I
really
don't have any
cool.
sort of training program with land flipping or anything like that, but
Okay. Okay.
it might open your eyes to it. And maybe someday down
Yeah.
the road, I will do something
I
like
was gonna
that.
say,
But
is that
I'm not.
something in the works? Looking
Yeah,
to
I'd
create a
like to.
training program
We've got a
around it?
background in online education business. My wife has been in the blogging world and travel
Okay.
blogging world for a long time, and we have a big business kind of all around that. So I kind of come from that in a way. So I think that it would be logical to kind of do that same thing for
For sure.
the land investing, but
No,
I'm
I think
not there
that's
yet.
a
So
great idea.
yeah,
Yeah. If you need any help with that piece of it, I know a lot of people that are in that coaching space and that create training programs, and so I'd be happy to
yeah,
introduce you with them so you can
yeah. I
pick their
appreciate it.
brains. But
Yeah.
well, cool, man. Well, it's been great to learn more about your business. I know I'm personally going to be checking out this, turningprofit.com as soon as we get done with this, and I'd let you know once you get your podcast up and rolling. I'd love to be a guest on your show
Oh
if
yeah,
you
it'd be
wouldn't
great to
mind.
have you.
And yeah, man, it's just been great getting to know more about you. I appreciate it, especially this time of year. I know it's always tough, with the holidays around the corner. I'm the same way. I'm just like, oh yeah, Christmas is in 2 days. I probably should, maybe stop taking a few phone calls and
I
go
know
off,
it
go
makes some
offline for a little bit.
preparations. Yeah.
But again, there's when you love what you do, it's really hard. It's really easy to get carried away and just keep
Yeah.
working because it's fun. I
Yeah,
love
that's
doing it.
right. That's right. Yeah, it's like a big game, right?
It
In a
is,
way.
right? Yeah. It's a blast. So, well, Pete, I appreciate your time today, brother. I hope you have a phenomenal holiday. Get to relax, spend some time with your family, and let's do this again sometime.
That sounds great to me. I appreciate you having me.
Of course, man. Have a great day.
All right.
Cheers.
Great. Thanks.